Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. So, I woke up this morning, or I woke up and I was meditating, and these words of Bruno Groening came so strongly to me. Bruno said, "I am stronger than evil." Now, that's not a claim that I feel that I can make uh, right now. And so it just came to me so strongly why I need a helper like Bruno Groening and why I continue, and I would argue that anyone, that pretty much all human beings need to be so mindful of evil. Now, a lot of people don't um, feel fear around using the word evil, using the word devil, Satan. Sometimes I still feel some fear around those words. And Bruno Groening said, don't play with evil, meaning don't underestimate it. So there's this, and I'm constantly learning that balance of not focusing too much on evil, but not focusing too little, of being very mindful, not being fearful. The thing is, if I understand Bruno's teachings correctly, until each one of us can declare, I am stronger than evil, then to some extent, we're all under the influence of evil. We're driving under the influence, not of alcohol, but of evil. Until we're completely free, to some extent, we're being driven, pushed by the negative force. And that's my understanding of why Bruno called us to be so vigilant with it. So this lesson has been brought home to me very strongly. And I'm going to share a little bit about my history with this teaching, with the teachings of Bruno Groening. So in essence, I experienced a major depression in 1989, and then another one in 1991, and they started coming more and more. And by 1994, my life was a wreck. I was very deep into depression, very deep into addictions, and a lot of struggling, a lot of suffering. Felt suicidal thousands of times, dangerously suicidal, maybe 10, 15 times, and just trying everything, trying different spiritual things, trying medication, and nothing really working. And then around 2009, I almost took my life. I came this close to actually committing suicide. And I said, all the stuff I've been trying hasn't been working. So I'm done with it. And by the way, I hadn't found Bruno's teachings at that point. So I'm done with everything spiritual, holistic, alternative. I got on medication. I started doing martial arts. I found a very grounded, balanced spiritual group. Nothing too metaphysical, nothing too out there. And I just kind of lived a normal life. And it worked really well. And I did a lot of service work. And for the first time, that was 2009. And the first time in my adult life, because like I said, my adult life had been just an absolute mess since 1994. I had a reasonably balanced life. And the doctor I was working with the medication, it was not the best doctor. She got me stable, but it started to have very extreme negative side effects, and she was in denial about that. She said it wasn't the medication when it really was. And by 2012, though my mood was stable and my life was stable, my body was falling apart. But I didn't know what to do, because if I even decreased the medication a little bit, I got very unbalanced. And the last time I got unbalanced, I almost killed myself. So I was, on the one hand, the medication was destroying my health, and I didn't really know it at the time. I knew it was harmful, but I didn't know the full effects it was having. On the other hand, if I decrease the medication, I start to have mood swings, and mood swings could lead to feeling suicidal. And so at that point, that's where I found the teachings of Bruno Groening. And I've shared that, I've shared this many times. Within 9 months, I had so many healings. And my health was so bad at that point that I was kind of forced to do hours of Einstein every day. At first, I just did it a little bit, and then I started to do 2, 3 hours a day. And in a very short time, so many things were healed. I got off 3 of the medications. The 4th medication took a little longer, but that was just a medication for sleep. So you could truly say I experienced salvation. My body was falling apart from the meds, but I couldn't get off the meds. But then through Bruno's help and these teachings, I was able to get off the meds and experience so much healing. My life just came together. I was uh, happy and healthy, really for the first time in my adult life. On the medication, I'd been stable, but I wasn't really happy and I wasn't really healthy. But I finally was. And I was so inspiring to other people because they saw me. The people, you know, they saw all the healings and they saw the transformation. And um, I was really radiating a lot of spiritual energy. People would just, you know, I don't want to brag about it, but people would really feel God around me. I'd hug people and they would start to have a spiritual experience. Like it was really, I was kind of like a saint, not that I was saintly, not that I was a saint, but God was moving through me very deeply, very, very deeply. And then one day I had a thought that this thought, and I thought it was Bruno's voice because it was kind of this German sounding, and the thought was, your deepest healing will be, I can't remember the exact thought. It was something like, reconnecting with your desire for partnership will be your deepest healing. And it sounded kind of German and it sounded kind of, and I thought it was Bruno's voice. I was like, oh my God, that's it. That's my deepest life goal, is to have a spiritual partnership, and that'll fix everything, even though everything was fixed already. And here's the thing, friends. Bruno Groening said we need to check every thought. And Bruno Groening also said to beware of mediumship, of channeling, of hearing voices from disembodied beings. Even Bruno Groening. Bruno Groening never once said, listen for my voice. Never once. He spoke very strongly against what he called mediumship, what we would call today channeling. He said usually it's an evil being posing as a good being, trying to do harm. And in this case, that's what I believe it was, because I took that thought very seriously. And in a short time, let's see if there's anything else. And so in a very short time after having that thought, I started, and that thought was so important because, I was so excited because I'd had so many health problems and such deep depression that I wasn't really able to have healthy relationships. And I kind of gave up at a certain point. I just kind of stopped trying. But now having had all these healings and the power of God flowing through me, and I was no Bruno Groening. I'm not trying to compare myself to Bruno Groening, but it was a teeny tiny Bruno, teeny tiny. But I was starting to feel interested in dating again, women were starting to pay attention to me, which hadn't happened in a long time. And because I was kind of this depressed, unbalanced person. And and then in a very short time, I got involved in a relationship and I just dove right in. I was like, this person's an awake being. Like, I just got really unbalanced. This one thought led me to become very unbalanced. And it kind of had me make spiritual partnership kind of became my new higher power. It was really crazy. In hindsight, it was absolutely crazy. And so I met this person and I thought, oh, she's enlightened. And together we're going to have this amazing spiritual partnership and we're going to, help heal each other and just all these very unbalanced thoughts. And I actually slowly but surely stepped away from Bruno Groening and from this path. And in a very short time, what I realized was that this person was not a good person. I'd been completely deceived. Actually, good in her core, but a very, very, I'm going to say dark. Not everything that appears bright is bright. She appeared to be a very bright spiritual being, but she really wasn't. To the contrary, actually. And being involved in that relationship and stepping away from this path and from Bruno Groening, in a very short time, my life started to get messy again. And I tried to find my way back, but I wasn't quite able to. And the reasons for that are maybe the time for another video. But what I've learned through all, and I still haven't found my way 100% back. I found, Bruno Groening in 2012, and I got involved in this relationship in 2013. And so it's 7 years later, and I still haven't found my way fully back. And so why I'm sharing all this is partially because I just want to be honest. All of you are some of my community, and some of you look to me, I think, as maybe a mentor on this path, and just want to be honest that I'm not some perfected being. I'm no guru, and been doing this channel for a couple of years now, and sometimes there's some inconsistencies. I've missed a couple community hours. I'd say, I've been doing it for 3 years, and sometimes the regulation is so strong, I either forget or I need to cancel community hours. I've done it maybe 15 times over the last couple of years. And because my hope in also in sharing this is that people will really come to take evil seriously. So before I found Bruno Groening, evil almost took my life. Then through the teachings of Bruno and Bruno's help, I was really freed from a lot of evil. My life was really saved. And because I didn't stay mindful of evil, I just kind of got on this spiritual high and got unbalanced. Evil swooped right back in. And it's not like I lost, by no means did I lose everything, but I lost a lot. And that's my understanding of why Bruno Groening called us to be so mindful of negativity, because it is cunning, baffling, powerful. It is smart. And Bruno didn't mince words. He said, evil will constantly attack you on your life's journey. There's kind of this spiritual delusion that, like, sure, maybe once you reach the stage of mastery, I don't know, I'm not there yet. Actually, Bruno Groening himself said, I have faced, paraphrased, I have faced such great temptation. So even for a master, there's still going to be temptation. How much more so for those of us who aren't
the unwinnable war.
Who aren't quite masters yet. I'm looking for this quote of Bruno's because it's so powerful. So, the short version of what was Bruno Groening's teachings? Strive for God and be mindful of evil. That's how I would summarize it. A lot of people don't like the word evil. Okay. Strive for God and be mindful of ego or delusion or illusion, whatever you want to call it. Just be really clear that the negative force is homicidal, insane, and destructive. It's not, in the West, when we say ego, we're like, that's when like someone's, being bossy, and someone can be like, oh, they've got so much ego. So that's why the word ego doesn't really cut it for me. So let's spend a little time. Princess is joining us once again. Let's spend a little time reflecting on this. So this is so that's a very long message, but if I could just sum up my little sermon, it would be strive for God with all your being and be mindful of evil, of the adversary, of the devil. So let's spend a little time taking in the divine energy. These words of Bruno's just keep coming to me. And again, I'm going by memory, don't have the exact quote. Don't play with evil, meaning don't underestimate it. He would say Satan is mighty, God is almighty. So we don't want to underestimate Satan, but we certainly don't want to underestimate God either. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope this sharing can help others to avoid the lures and snares of evil. Take care, angels. Much love.